You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts.
And you're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Starbucks, from the campus of the University of Oklahoma, where today the Sooners will be cheered by a homecoming crowd. Their spirits not dampened despite the rain as they get ready to welcome the Ole Miss Rebels, who come to Norman for the first time ever. Both teams fired up for a huge game with major SEC and national implications. Number 8, Ole Miss. Number 13, Oklahoma. Both teams are 6-1 overall, and for each, the one loss has come in conference play. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Greg McElroy. Delighted to have you with us. All week, the big headline about this matchup has been strength against strength. The Ole Miss offense, as usual, high-flying against an Oklahoma defense that's played outstanding football all season long. Oklahoma, Greg, as you know, comes into this game number 1 in the country in total defense, second in scoring defense behind only Ohio State. And what is it that's making them so good so far?
Well, like all great defenses, it starts up front. I mean, this defensive line, in an era where it's hard to accumulate depth, they can go 8 deep at the position. They have 2 guys that can really take over the game, too, at the end of the line of scrimmage. R. Mason Thomas, number 32, and Taylor Wine, who has been a huge surprise this year, but has been outstanding there on the other side. This is a defense that's going to have to play at a high level because it's a very talented Ole Miss offense.
Yeah, we asked Brent Venables, the coach, yesterday about his defense. How good is it? He said, we'll find out more starting today. This is the first of 5 games in a row for the Sooners against a ranked opponent. It's by far the best offense they will have faced so far this season in Ole Miss. Number 9 in the country in total offense, and Trinidad Chambliss doing a very nice job running their show.
He's been outstanding since taking over as the starting quarterback. There have been very few flaws on display. However, the last time out, 4th quarter against Georgia, that was probably the low point of his tenure as the Ole Miss quarterback. Against this great defense, he's got to be decisive and accurate and be opportunistic with his legs against a ferocious pass rush.
He's one of 2 excellent dual-threat quarterbacks in this matchup today. The other is Oklahoma's John Mateer. With more on him down on the field, here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Sooners quarterback John Mateer is wearing black kinesiology tape on his surgically repaired right thumb, and he told us if it continues to rain today, which it is right now, he'll have to take that tape off so he doesn't transfer moisture to a dry football. He has not played in a game without the support of this tape since his surgery, and it rained heavily overnight and all morning. There was no tarp on the field, so the grass is quite saturated, the playing surface wet and slippery, and we will continue to see precipitation steadily throughout the day, Sean.
All right, Molly, thank you. Oklahoma and Ole Miss on a rainy day south of Oklahoma City. Our presentation of college football on ABC returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We mentioned the implications. Right now there are 8 teams in the Southeastern Conference with either no losses in league play, A&M and Alabama, or 1 loss. These are 2 of those 6. The Missouri and Vanderbilt also play each other today, meaning at the end of today there will be at most 6 teams in the SEC with 1 loss or fewer. Tate Sandell kicks off. Oklahoma won the toss and deferred. They'll get that great defense on the field first. And it's a touchback from Sandell. So here's Trinidad Chambliss, was the backup to Austin Simmons to start the year. Simmons hurt his ankle in week 2 at Kentucky. Chambliss took over, and he's been outstanding. Those are the numbers. He's thrown for at least 250 yards in each of his 5 starts. Suffered his first loss last week at Georgia, the first loss for their team. They're 6-1, and they lost despite putting 36 points on the board at Athens. He played really well for 3 quarters, about as well as you can, but struggled in the 4th as they squandered a 9-point lead. They broke a huddle and went straight to the ball, and Chambliss comes out slinging on target to the 30-yard line. Dejon Stribling driven back by Robert Spears Jennings, a safety, a 5-yard gain.
And usually when you watch Ole Miss, they're going to work with relentless tempo. Might not see as much of that throughout the game today because this is a group that does a great job of identifying trends and signals. So you might see a little more huddle from the Rebs.
Chambliss again on target for a first down. Dribbling again. Back-to-back catches. No trouble throwing the ball on this damp day. 2 for 2 out of the chute for Trinidad Chambliss from Grand Rapids, Michigan. First year at Ole Miss. Out of Division II Ferris State. Keywan Lacey ran into Kobe McKenzie after a gain of 2.
We visited with Lane Kiffin a couple days ago and talked about the weather and whether that would impact his thought process. He says if it's not raining during the game, it should be advantage offense because they know where they're going and it's hard for the defense to get footing on wet turf.
Rain most of the night and all morning. It's forecast to die down. Caden Lee the catch down the middle and another strike by Chambliss. Very quickly the Rebels deep in Oklahoma territory after a 25-yard completion to the 29. And they go at a very fast pace. Chambliss ahead for a couple, tripped up by Taylor Wine. Well, you heard Lane Kiffin on SEC Nation this morning with Laura Rutledge talking about the importance of getting off to a good start. Nobody has done this against Oklahoma this year. In 7 games, the Sooners have given up only 3 points in the first quarter. Auburn kicked a field goal.
So far, it's been a beautiful plan. Quick passing attack. They now have several receivers that have gotten looks already. It's a good start.
Chambliss after the play fake, back shoulder throw incomplete in the direction of Caleb Oden. Odom, one of their tight ends. Brent Venables calls the defenses, one of the great defensive minds in college football. Those numbers they've been putting up, the best for a Sooner defense since 1987 in terms of fewest points and yards allowed through 7 games. Well, this is by far the best offense they will have faced.
Very aggressive group, too. A lot of pressures and blitzes from the Sooners.
On 3rd down and 9. Time for Chambliss, and the throw incomplete. Corlin Guillory, the freshman, had the coverage on Stribling. So the drive stalls and the field goal unit comes on.
That was well defended there on those last 3 plays by the Sooners. Those first few, they were on their heels just a bit. One inaccurate throw by the quarterback Chambliss led to this drive stalling.
There's Lucas Carnero, one of the best kickers in the country. It's a 45-yard try, but the field is damp. He's 12 out of 14 in his first year with the Rebels. And that would have been good from 60. Good start on the road for Ole Miss. They lead 3-0 in rainy Norman. John Mateer and the Sooners offense getting ready to take the field for the first time. They'll be down 3-0 after a field goal by Lucas Carnero. Trinidad Chambliss led a nice drive, 8 plays. As Oklahoma gave up points on the opponent's opening drive for the first time in 12 games. Back to the Maine Black Bears, Week 10 last year. Carnero's kickoff is a touchback. Here comes Mateer. As Molly chronicled, his 3rd game now back from thumb surgery. He was off to a great start before the injury suffered against Auburn a little over a month ago. Struggled in their only loss to Texas. They didn't score a touchdown in that game. He threw 3 interceptions. But he was solid in a road win last week against South Carolina. And that thumb getting better by the week. Like Chambliss, he's a first-year player at his current school, transfer from Washington State. From Little Elm, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Corey Blaylock, the true freshman running back, ahead for 1 yard. Xavier Harris made the tackle.
And if you watch John Mateer against Texas, you could just tell he was pressing, trying to do a little too much, trying to make up for lost time. His feet were a little bit of a mess. The accuracy was not where it needed to be. You could tell he was rusty. They liked the progress made last week, and they feel like he's played his best football since the injury and the practices leading up to this game.
Mateer complete to Jaron Kanak, his tight end, to the 32-yard line for a gain of 6. Well, the first 4 games, he had emerged as the leading contender for the Heisman Trophy. He was averaging big numbers. Over 300 yards per game in total offense. He was second in the country. But he has struggled since, understandably so. He runs for the first down.
While against Texas, he might not have had his best stuff throwing the football. He remains a very dangerous runner. He's a remarkable competitor, and the quarterback run game will be very advantageous against this Ole Miss defense that has struggled to contain ball carriers all season long.
They did not force a punt from Georgia last week. The Bulldogs scored points on all 8 of their possessions in their win against the Rebels. Deep pass and a catch. Isaiah Sategna. A terrific catch with the nickel. Kapena Gushigan right there all over him.
Perfectly thrown football, too, with great outstretched hands by Sategna for a big play.
For 38 yards, they line up quickly. Mateer throws it away. Will Eccles was bringing some pressure. There is a flag down on the play. Matt Leffler is the referee.
Legal substitution on the defense. 5-yard penalty. It is first down.
So a good sign for the coordinator, Ben Arbuckle. Beautifully thrown ball deep down the field by Mateer. On the explosive plays, particularly in the pass game, missing since the hand injury.
And on the deep ball especially. He's been great on intermediate throws all season long, but the deep ball is one area where he could probably grow. So great sign to see a deep one on target there.
Quick hitter and a low throw and a diving catch made by Sategna, who has become their leading receiver. They're perfect in the red zone. 23 trips. They've scored points every time. One of only 5 teams in the country at 100%. Cincinnati, Eastern Michigan, San Diego State, Washington State, the others. Second down and 4. They're at the 18. Light drizzle still falling. No breeze at the moment. Mateer on the run with flags down again. Incomplete pass in the direction of Dion Burks.
Holding. Offense, number 56. A 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Second down.
Michael Fasusi had a hold of Cam Franklin. He's a true freshman. Ryan Foje starting at the other tackle. He's also a true freshman.
And that will be very difficult today for John Mateer, knowing the youth that he has on both ends of the line of scrimmage. He's got to step up in the pocket. He loves to escape horizontally, but stepping up to protect those tackles will be important.
The penalty brings it back to the 28. Second down and 14. Xavier Robinson's come in at running back. He had a nice game at South Carolina. For Sategna again, and again very well covered by Gushigan. Crowd wanted a call. If anything from up here, it looked like it was Sategna who might have used his hands to try to get some room.
Yeah, both guys looking back at the ball. That's probably why it didn't result in the flag. There was a little contact, but the fact that Gushigan was trying to play the ball is going to result in a no call, and I agree with it. Third down and 14.
Robinson remains the running back. Satania to the 24, and Brent Venables will send his talented field goal kicker on, Tate Sandell. There's Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. It's been a rough year, but they're 6-1.
And I think Pete Golding's got to be thrilled with that right there. They get the penalty, but what they didn't do last week against Georgia was get off the field on 3rd and long situations. So here in 1-for-1 on 3rd and 11 plus.
Sandell, 12 out of 13 in his first year with Oklahoma. Transfer from UTSA. These are two of the best kickers in the country, and they've each made one. That one from 42 for the left footer, Sandell. Each team's had it once. Each has kicked a field goal. 3-3 early on in Norman. Brent Venables' team still perfect in the red zone with the field goal that has tied the game. One of the big storylines this week, Lane Kiffin early in the week talking about Oklahoma. Talked about Venables and his staff's ability to steal signs. Lane changed the terminology when we talked to him later in the week because he didn't want it to sound like such a negative. It's certainly within the rules, and he kind of admires the job that Venables' group does in stealing information. So Lane now calls them elite information gatherers. But he and his offensive staff have taken some steps today to try to make it difficult for Venables and his bunch to gather that information. And among the many things that we're likely to see today, Greg, they'll huddle more, and they may stay in the huddle until the play clock goes under 15, because that's when the communication in the helmets shuts off, and Venables cannot communicate with his defensive green dot once it goes under 15.
And I think what's a bit of a misconception from the outside looking in, people think that this is some type of morality issue. This is not a morality issue at all. You're trying to call the best defense based on tendencies, and I think it's highly important, as you can see, under 15 seconds on the play clock. Now they go to the huddle, so they can't make those adjustments. So I think it's a great use of gamesmanship to give your team an advantage.
You know, they line up and the coaches cannot communicate into the helmets. Pass incomplete. Very well played by the freshman Portland Guillory, who's been progressing as you might expect as the season goes along. Deuce Alexander, the intended receiver. They are playing short at the cornerback position today. Gentry Williams, ordinarily a starter, is out due to injury. So it'll be Guillory, Jacoby Johnson, Eli Bowen in a 3-man rotation. Chambliss again for 8. Banged down 2 yards short of the first down by Robert Spears Jennings. Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, calls the plays. Lane Kiffin will help with last-minute adjustments as the quarterback looks to the sideline. Third down, 1.5 yards. Lacey, the running back. Chambliss throws, caught. First down. Daquan Wright chopped down by Owen Heineke. Completion of 7 yards to the tight end, Wright.
And talking to Charlie Weiss last week, he said, we did not do a good enough job as a staff getting our quarterback back on schedule. He said we need to be better running the football and moving the pocket. There on the third down, moving the pocket to his quarterback's strength, the right hand, making an easy throw for the conversion.
Keywan Lacey lunged out of the tackle of Kip Lewis. That's one of the things Brent Venables said yesterday as you look at all the good luck stealing those signs.
And it changes series to series too. One series it's the yellow hat, the next series it's the pink hat. You can change all the time, and talking to Brent Venables said we do. We change series by series, who's live, who's not, to try to confuse the opposite sideline.
And we're starting to see Venables admires the way Lacey always falls forward at the end of the run. They bring pressure. Chambliss got hit as he throws, and it's incomplete onto the Oklahoma sideline in the general direction of Deuce Alexander.
It's going to be very important to account for where R. Mason Thomas is all the way throughout the game. He could take it over, and on 3rd and long, That's when he's at his very best. He'll get really wide outside the tackle and run right around him with a ton of speed.
They have 28 sacks this year, do the Sooners. Most in the nation. Their 75 tackles for a loss also lead the country. Chambliss throws deep and on target again. What a throw to Trey Wallace. He got behind Peyton Bowen for a completion to the 33-yard line of 25 yards.
And a great job up front, too, by Kewan Lacey, picking up the blitzing linebacker Kip Lewis to allow just enough time for Chambliss to make the throw in the corner.
22 catches this year for Wallace. First year at Ole Miss as a transfer from Penn State. Play fake to Lacey. There's a flag down deep in the secondary. A couple of flags down in the secondary. Wallace made the catch. Eli Bowen, Peyton's brother, made the tackle.
Legal substitution on the defense. The 5-yard penalty. It is third down.
No, it should not be third down.
I think it's first down, but either way. And Venables will try very hard. They got great depth along the defensive line. It's a tempo offense. He'll try really hard to match those substitutions. He knows that's going to be very challenging, so they have to be opportunistic when they decide to take their players off the field.
Ole Miss snaps the ball in under 23 seconds on average, 8th fastest in the country. That pass is batted down. They brought a blitz, and it was Reggie Powers who got a piece of it.
And that is one area for Trinidad Chambliss that he's struggled with from time to time. He's not the longest guy in the world, but negotiating defenders. He gets a lot of balls tipped to the line of scrimmage, so if the blitzers can't get home, they go vertical, and they can probably get a piece of it.
Breaking free is Lacey. Touchdown! 28 yards. And credit to an improving Ole Miss offensive line. That was very well blocked. 2 possessions. And so far in this battle of strength against strength, it's the Ole Miss offense with the upper hand. A little disappointed by the dunk. He had a better dunk last week at Georgia. Carnero for the extra point. And it is good. 75 yards in 8 plays. Chambliss very sharp to start the game. He's thrown for 75 already.
Gets one of the best defenses in America. It's Kewan Lacey who gets the handoff. Big hole off the right side. And he gives Ole Miss the 7-point lead.
Lucas Carnero kicks off after the touchdown that has given Ole Miss a 10-3 lead. It's a touchback.
And Brent Venables very frustrated on the sideline. Look at the movement up front defensively. It creates a huge gap for Kewan Lacey to run right through. They were not on the same page defensively. It led to massive hole. And Kewan Lacey finds it immediately, and that's why Venables, as soon as his defensive personnel got to the sideline, he has lightened them up because they were clearly not on the same page between the first and second level of that defense.
Venables in his 4th year as head coach here took over the calling of the defense, took it back this season. It's worked very well, at least prior to today. Torrey Blaylock trying to get around the corner. He's out of bounds with a 6-yard gain. Today's Impact Players are brought to you by Fairfield by Marriott.
Well, Isaiah Satania has already made his presence felt on the first drive with a long catch down the left sideline. He's enormous on 3rd down especially. And then the 2 defensive tackles for Ole Miss, Xavier Harris and Will Eccles. They're their best defensive players, but they got to limit the snap exposure. Those guys are playing way too many snaps, and their production falls off in the second half.
Mateer, nice cut on this damp field. He's a yard short of the first down. That 39-yard pass from Mateer to Satania was Mateer's first of 20 or more yards since the Auburn game, which was the game in which he was injured. They didn't have any 20-yard pass plays against Texas or South Carolina, and they don't get the first down there. Blaylock stopped about a half-yard short. Venables leaving the offense on the field for the moment on 4th down. And the crowd boos now after some pondering of the decision. He sends the punt team on.
Yeah, I agree with this. Too early in the game. You're already, if you get stopped again, you're already essentially conceding 3 points at the bare minimum. The defense so far has struggled. So play field position early and lean on that great defense to bounce back.
Grayson Miller, the punter, transfer from Central Oklahoma. Good kick. He's had a good year. And Jay Wallace, a fair catch of a 51-yard punt. Well, it is SEC All Day presented by IHG. All day long here on ABC. We're followed at 3:30 by number 4 Alabama at South Carolina. After 4 straight wins against ranked teams, the Gamecocks dangerous at home in Columbia. Tonight, undefeated, number 3 Texas A&M at LSU. Ranked number 20 and 20-1 under the lights under Brian Kelly.
There's not a lot to like with what we've seen from LSU the last couple weeks. This is their final stand. Can they finally get that offense going against a great A&M defense?
2 possessions, 2 scores, a field goal in the opening drive, and then a touchdown drive of 75 yards last time. Lacey's in trouble. Did well with the stutter step to get away from Mason Thomas. Well, he asked Brent Venables how good's the defense, and he said, we'll know more after this game against Ole Miss. They've been outstanding, best numbers since 1987, but the best offense they've played so far is Michigan. They're the only team in the top 70 in the country in total offense the Sooners have played. Much different opposition here today. Lacey down about a half-yard short of the first down. I thought that was very honest by Brent Venables. I mean, they're playing well, and he likes the things they're doing, playing very solid football, but they're stepping up in class today.
And against a very balanced attack that can beat you through the air and on the ground.
And it's a first down for Lacey. You know, he talked about a lot of things, not busting assignments, good get off, playing tight coverage. I mean, the things that you're looking for as a defensive coach, he's been seeing week after week. He had a much longer list than that. But can they do it against one of the best offenses in the country?
I think the big question really is more in the secondary than anything else, because nobody's really been able to block them with the sacks and the disrupted dropbacks. So can the secondary lock down quality wide receivers?
After the fake to Lacey. Stribbling for a first down. 12-yard gain. And they come quickly to the line. Oklahoma still scrambling to line up. And now the Rebels take their time and reset the formation. Lacey dropped for a 2-yard loss. Michael Boganowski up from his safety spot to help against the run.
This defense is so aggressive, and they get you playing behind the line of scrimmage, and clearly a slow start today on that side of the ball against a very potent offense. And what Ole Miss does a great job of is when you get them behind the sticks on 1st and 10, they get half of it back and make 3rd down more manageable.
Chambliss pressured from behind, gets away from Mason Thomas, and he got blasted at the 47 after a gain of 7. It was Grayson Halton who knocked him down hard.
That was a big hit there by Halton. You've got to be smart if you're Trinidad Chambliss and you cut it back inside, knowing those defenders along the defensive line are in pursuit.
They're 3 out of 4 on 3rd down already, are the Rebels. Against an Oklahoma defense that was 3rd best in the country behind Ohio State and Texas A&M coming in. Chambliss slips on the wet field, taking the shotgun snap. Tough break for Ole Miss. And a loss of 5.
looked like it was a low snap, kind of low and away to the left-hand side, and Chambliss couldn't gather it. You see the ball just coming out a little low, difficult to corral. Looked like it was going to be a run play up inside as well.
He did slip a little bit, but it was caused by that low snap from Bryson Sanders, the center. So that stops Ole Miss's drive, self-inflicted. Here's Oscar Bird. And a fair catch made by Satania. 41-yard punt. For 20 years, Allstate has celebrated every field goal and extra point made at participating universities by donating to the university's athletic scholarship fund, supporting all student athletes. Thank you to Allstate. Already a field goal for each team, an extra point for Ole Miss. So Oklahoma back on offense, punted after its last possession, ending a streak of 9 consecutive possessions on defense on which Ole Miss had surrendered points, all 8 against Georgia last week, and the Sooners kicked the field goal in their opening possession today. Blaylock yanked down by Ricky Fletcher after a gain of 7. We're down to a half minute to go in the first quarter.
The big point of emphasis for Ole Miss's defense is to get more substitutions in the game. They rely heavily on their starting 4 along the defensive front. Will Eccles and Xavier Harris play 1,000,000 snaps. They did again last week. So emphasizing substitutions early so those guys aren't gassed in the fourth quarter, something they're going to continue to do early in this game.
You could see it at the end of the game last week against Georgia, and Pete Golding says they want to keep the snap count to 40 or fewer, and those defensive linemen playing many more snaps than that. One way to do it, stay on the field on offense. Oklahoma ran only 11 plays in the first quarter to 22 for the Rebels, who lead 10-3 on the road. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC returns after this message and word from our ABC stations.
Back here in Norman, Rebels up 10-3. Coach Kiffin, a great start for your team, especially on offense. How do they continue to battle these elements and control this game?
Well, it's going to be challenging. These guys are the best defense in the country. So first 2 drives were good, and we had a good play on there and fumbled a snap on the 3rd down. So these guys haven't given up touchdowns early like this. So we've got to continue to maintain what we're doing, and we're going to have to play really well on defense against a great quarterback.
Thank you, Coach.
And he has to be pleased with the defense on that first play of the quarter. Well defended. Deion Burks for no gain on the catch. 6-1 for the 4th time in 6 years are the Rebels under Lane Kiffin. Previous 55 seasons, only 4 times did they start 6-1 or better. But still plenty to accomplish, including a win on the road against a ranked SEC opponent. They haven't done that under Lane Kiffin. 0-6 all time, including the loss last week at Georgia. Matier waving receivers around. Here's another bust in the Ole Miss secondary. Satania, who's a track athlete, will not be caught. Touchdown OU. 76 yards, 66 after the catch. Those are the things that have been killing Lane Kiffin's defense. Too many people running free. The extra point by Tate Sandell to tie the game. Brent Venable says Satania's become our MVP on offense, and another big contribution.
And just a huge mistake here. I mean, look at the eyes in the backfield. Eyes in the backfield, eyes everywhere, and nobody accounts for Satania, who gets over the top. You also had a receiver to the left side that was wide open as well in Kanik. That's just a bust. You have some guys playing man, a couple guys with zone eyes looking at the quarterback, and nobody sees Satania as he breaks across. Leads to a massive play, and it's a great job, too, by Matier. Hanging in there, allowing the receiver to uncover. throwing him open, it's off to the races. Just very well executed by Oklahoma, taking advantage of a big mistake by Ole Miss's back end.
And they weren't going to get Satania. He went to high school in Fayetteville, Arkansas. His dad was a track coach there. Mario Satania is now at Texas A&M. There's his mom, Dahlia, who is a track star herself. She ran as a sprinter in the relay back in 1992 for Jamaica in the Olympics in Barcelona. So he has good genes when it comes to running fast.
No one was catching him once he got behind the defense.
Isaiah told Molly McGrath during the week he thought he might be a track athlete in college instead of a football player. He's a heck of a football player. Hartrup, the fair catch of the kickoff. And look what he's done over the last 5 games. He's become by far the favorite target of John Mateer.
And it's critical situations as well. The first 4 games, it was really Kanak. And then Satania came on beginning with that game against Auburn. And since that point forward, he is the guy on 3rd down. He's a guy that they account for in the red zone and then on regular down and distance as well. He's just extremely dependable and extremely productive.
On 1st and 10, Lacey rounds the corner. Keiwan Lacey, the transfer from Missouri, with a nice first down run out to the 38 for 13. Marvin Jones Jr., defensive end, made the tackle.
Seeing Ole Miss have success on the ground right now is the result of some of the aggressiveness that we've seen from Oklahoma's defense throughout this first quarter. They're moving, they're slanting, and Ole Miss is just capturing the edges and creating big runs.
Lacey stacked up, got a yard, and that's all. Reggie Powers up near the line of scrimmage again. It's an aggressive defense under Brent Venables. They'll put a lot of people up there in the box. On 2nd and 9, they bring a blitz. Lacey got in the way, knocked down Heineke, but it's still a sack for Marvin Jones Jr.
And this is a great job just keeping eyes in the backfield. You're going to see him just drift off and inside and make the play. They have eyes on him all the way. It's perfectly well defended. And a great play by Jones.
First charge out, Oklahoma.
First sack of the game for either team. 29th of the year for the Sooner defense, adding to their national leading total. You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts.
Well, you Heismans are a little far from the house.
Sheriff Boz, what seems to be the problem? I bet you it's the horse driving the car thing.
Bingo, Barry. Can he even see?
Not a lick.
Out of the car.
Here we go.
Dispatch, I got a horse behind the wheel.
What? The 295 horsepower Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek.
The True West has no fences.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath back in rainy Norman, Oklahoma. 10-10 the score, early second quarter. 3rd down and 14 for Ole Miss. Chambliss slips down again. With R. Mason Thomas approaching, there is a flag down.
Offside. Defense. Number 32. He's in the neutral zone at the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty. It is 3rd down.
And it was Thomas who was offside, lined up offside.
And he just flinches a little bit before, couldn't quite get back in time before the ball was snapped. Thomas on third down and long especially. He gets super wide, wider than he does on normal down and distance to create that separation away from the tackle where he could speed rush upfield.
Yeah, he doesn't need a head start. He's very close to being along the line of scrimmage again on what is now 3rd down and 9. They try to surprise him with a run. Kewan Lacey to the 43. He got 4. It is 4th down and 5. And Ole Miss will punt. Lane Kiffin doesn't go for 4th downs anywhere near as often this season as he has in the previous 5 years.
It's been a good adjustment so far from Oklahoma. And Ole Miss needs to get back to doing what they did on those first couple drives with quick passes. So far, these slower developing passes, they don't have the time, nor is Trinidad Chambliss keeping his feet well enough to allow those things to uncover.
Oscar Bird, his 2nd punt. Didn't punt last week at Georgia till the 4th quarter. Satania played it on a hop, brought it out near the 15-yard line, where he's tackled by Andy Jaffe. 48-yard punt. The Sooner defense starting to win some battles now. Tied at 10. Memorial Stadium. Been sold out for every game since 1999 here at the Palace on the Prairie. More than 80,000. They sold every ticket. I think a few of them stayed home to watch Greg McElroy and Molly McGrath today on this rainy day. There's some patches of empty seats. Early start as well, just after 11 a.m. local time kickoff.
What a great venue and what a great environment too. First time was here was against Auburn. I've never been here before. Had Oklahoma a million times. Man, what a great setting. Just an awesome place and a great fan base as well.
And they win a lot here as well since 1999, which coincides with Bob Stoops' arrival as the head coach. They won more than 90% of their home games. Only Boise State has a better winning percentage at home over that time. Flag down. It's 1st down from the 5-yard line. There was a holding penalty against Oklahoma on the punt return. Blaylock stopped by Gushikin.
They're going to get another one here because it looked like a legal formation. The receiver at the end of the line of scrimmage looked like he was off the ball.
Little feedback on the microphone.
And you can see right here, there's 6 guys that are in the backfield and then 1 that's down here as well, or 5 guys in the backfield. You can only have 4. So that's on the quarterback and on the outside wide receiver who needs to get up on the line of scrimmage because that was an unbalanced formation. You got to cover up that tight end.
You're auditioning for Matt Austin's job, apparently.
That's one thing I could do is get guys lined up. Beyond that, not much.
Blaylock in trouble, taken down to the end zone. A safety. Prince Will Umanmielen for the beleaguered Ole Miss defense. A huge play by Pete Golding's unit.
Now these defensive tackles are the strength, and watch big number 52, Will Eccles. He just mows right across the face of the center. Michaela pushes everything back, and then from the backside, Umanmielen's able to drag him down as well. Just outstanding play up front and relentless pursuit by 2 Rebel defenders.
Well, shades of last year for Lane Kiffin's defense when they led the country in tackles for loss. They had 120 of them last year with so many talented players. They had 4 defenders drafted in the NFL. It was an elite defense a year ago. It has been a struggling bunch this season, but they have the first safety for Ole Miss since 2022. And Umanmielen gets the dunk. His brother was a part of that talented defense last year. And the exact opposite, sorry, Greg, this year they came in with 28 tackles for a loss, 119th in the country. So they went from 1st to 119.
And I think a lot of it has to do with fatigue. And you get these guys in the first half of football games, man, they are a handful on the edges and at defensive tackle, but they got to make sure they can sustain that effort throughout the game.
Free kick from Sandell. Isaiah Hartrip runs a long way with nobody near him for Oklahoma, and he's almost to midfield. So the defense with a big play, and sparks a nice return by Hartrip on the free kick, 38 yards.
It's little things. If you're on Oklahoma's sideline right now, it's little things. A couple of penalties lead to really bad field position, lead to a safety, and now the momentum has completely flipped back in favor of the Rebels with good field position to start a drive.
They lead by 2. They have the ball near midfield. Trinidad Chambliss didn't arrive at Ole Miss until May. Got a crash course in their offense from Charlie Weiss, Lane Kiffin, the offensive staff. It's a procedure penalty here against the Rebels.
Offense, number 51, 5-yard penalty. It is first down.
Chambliss, as you may know by now, did not have any FBS offers coming out of high school. He's also a very talented basketball player, All-State. Forest Hills Northern High School in Grand Rapids. Went to Ferris State, was a backup, got a chance to start last year and led them to the national championship for the 3rd time in the last 4 years under Coach Tony Annese. And Trinidad so grateful to Coach Annese and his staff for the opportunity and all the great football that he learned. He throws it away. I thought it was interesting when we talked to Charlie Weiss early in the year about Chambliss. And he said, not only when we watched the film were we very impressed by Trinidad and we knew we wanted to go bring him in the transfer portal, but we also stole some plays from Ferris State. While we were watching Chambliss, we saw some very nice offense.
Yeah, it's copycat world, and they have a good offensive staff up there, and Trinidad's been a great fit, but getting them back on track is key. Didn't do it last week very well. Can they do it here?
Looked like it might have been a design quarterback draw. He stays on his feet and runs out of bounds with a first down. Just past the marker on the far sideline at the 41-yard line. He got 16.
And these are called G-Bot plays, and every quarterback has them. You go through them with your offensive coordinator. G-Bot stands for get back on track. The last couple drives, Chambliss not playing very well. Things are moving really quickly for him. What do you feel comfortable doing when maybe things are flying too quickly? It sounds like, according to Charlie Weiss, it's quarterback run and moving the pocket. They move the pocket on 1st and 10, then they go quarterback run. Now their quarterback's re-engaged.
Two tight ends lined up just in front of Chambliss. After the fake, that was well played by Oklahoma. Charlie Weiss said he started looking at Chambliss's tape from Ferris State when he was in the portal. And by the way, he was the 60th ranked quarterback in the portal at 843 overall. And he said he watched for a little bit, and he said, I need to get a couple of the other assistants to come look at this tape for a couple minutes. So he got a few more, and it wasn't long when they said, we need to go get Lane Kiffin. And Lane said, get him on a plane down here as soon as you can. Trinidad told us during the week as soon as he got to Ole Miss, he knew that's where he wanted to go. After the fake, a low throw, and it's incomplete. Intended for Trey Wallace. What an impressive young man he is. Trinidad Chambliss very close with his parents and his older brother. 3rd down and 10.
Expecting pressure now, and what Trinidad does as well as anybody in the country is attack the blitz.
And the cat and mouse game now between these two coaching staffs. Play clock at 3. Chambliss plenty of time on target. The quick strike to Wallace. And a 20-yard gain for Ole Miss down to the Oklahoma 20.
Brent Venables brings pressure. He drops the defensive end off the right-hand side. Trinidad has to see it and negotiate it. He does for a nice conversion.
And now Lacey taken down behind the line of scrimmage by Kip Lewis.
Lane Kiffin loving that conversion. Finally, his quarterback delivers an on-target strike, and maybe that will be kind of the charge that they needed into their offense's life.
Deuce Alexander. Not much there. Kip Lewis there again. Junior linebacker from Carthage, Texas. One of the things they haven't done well is take the ball away. Neither of these defenses have. Each team with just 4 takeaways on the season. Brent Venables said turnovers could well be the deciding factor today. There hasn't been one yet.
Looking like all-out pressure, flat top. You know, a couple of those guys are dropping. Which ones, you don't know. So anticipate out-breaking routes from Ole Miss.
Chambliss looking down the middle. Nifty movement through a crowded pocket. On his feet inside the 5. First down. Well, that's the element that Austin Simmons doesn't bring for Lane Kiffin. Simmons a decent runner. This guy is an electric runner. 15 yards and a first down.
And that was a great play there. Simmons is a great thrower, but the dynamic ability of Chambliss, very few are making that play. He had a linebacker one-on-one that could have dropped him. He makes a miss, gets to the outside, and picks up the conversion.
First and goal. Throws back of the end zone. Lucky to get away with that through a crowd. Might have been throwing it away. Intended for Deuce Alexander.
The quarterback Simmons in the game. This 2-quarterback system that they've used, and a little bit of a package here.
They used it 3 times on the goal line last week, and it's Simmons who takes the snap, faked it to Lacey, throws too high. That was open for a touchdown, but he airmailed Stribling.
Just a big miss there. I mean, you have Stribling open, working in the back, perfectly executed, perfectly designed, get tons of fight by that Oklahoma secondary, and just too high. And that's a killer if you're Lane Kiffin.
So it's still Simmons at quarterback now. And he throws incomplete. I don't know why you do that, Greg. I mean, I understand last week they had both of them on the field at the same time, but Chambliss marches you right down there. He's the better running threat at the goal line. Why would you do that?
And especially knowing the play that they just asked him to execute, just a little fake to the inside and a pop pass over the top. You put in a cold quarterback in Simmons, whose first game action's at the 5-yard line, just asking an awful lot for a quarterback that's still relatively young to be accurate off the bench in that situation.
I think they got a little too creative and tricky for their own good there. Here's Carnero from 22. That's a gimme for him, and it's 15-10. Ole Miss. Simmons off the bench, and they had him throw a couple of passes. Neither one really close to being completed. While we were away, Lane Kiffin spent much of the time in that pose, squatting by himself and pondering what just happened. Before that, you could read his lips, stupid, my bad. Questioning his own decision to put Austin Simmons in the game to throw the first passes he's thrown since the 3rd game of the year against Arkansas.
I can live with keeping him in there on 3rd down because he's the better thrower of the two. And frankly, up to this point, there have been a couple inaccurate throws from Trinidad Chambliss, but on 2nd down, when run is still very much a reality, I don't understand why you wouldn't just have Trinidad Chambliss execute that pop pass, because he's already in the heat of the storm. He's already ready, but to throw a guy in cold off the bench on the 5-yard line is a tall order for any quarterback.
And it seemed pretty obvious. Lane Kiffin agrees with that. With hindsight, Carnero a touchback. And this was just a couple of seconds ago.
knows, too. Against this defense, points are at a premium. And field goals are likely not going to win this game. Touchdowns, with how their defense is played, that's what's going to win this game. So leave 4 points on the board right there because of an errant throw. That's something you'll kick yourself about for a long time.
Well, the defense has a safety today, and they're hanging in there pretty well. But for the most part, I think if you're Lane Kiffin, every point is valuable on offense because you're likely going to have to win shootouts. They couldn't win one in Athens last week. Quick pass to Xavier Robinson, the sophomore running back, for a 6-yard completion from John Mateer. Andrew Jones there for Ole Miss. It was Joe Judge, the former New York Giants head coach, coaching up Chambliss on the sideline. Mateer running out of time, throws in a beauty to Deion Burks for an Oklahoma first down on a 16-yard completion. He beat Antonio Kite in coverage.
And Mateer does such a great job throwing on the move, and that was a very patient route by Deion Burks. That route took a long time to develop. He gets deep enough, the throw is exactly where you want it. Make him catch it because of self-defense. You just throw it right into his chest plate. Perfect throw.
Burks in his second year here after 3 at Purdue. Robinson to the 49-yard line for a gain of 3, 6.5 to go in the half. Ole Miss leading 15-10, just the 3rd meeting all time between these two schools. They played last year in Oxford, Mississippi. And prior to that, back in the 1999 Independence Bowl. Rebels won 26-14 last year, shut out the Sooners in the second half on their home field. Giovanni Gibson could not get away, tackled around the legs by Kapana-Gushigan. He should have a pretty good beat on this offense, Greg. He played at Washington State last year. He was a teammate of John Mateer. And Ben Arbuckle was the offensive coordinator at Washington State. He's now on the Oklahoma sideline.
Seeing it every day in practice. I would imagine he had some lengthy meetings visiting there with Pete Golding in preparation for this game plan. And here, 3rd down, it's Satania, the slot up top. He's the go-to guy.
2 out of 4, the Sooners on 3rd down. Satania, the motion man, almost went up the field too early, makes a stumbling catch, but he's down short of the first down. Jalen Braxton there for the Rebels, sophomore from Frisco, Texas, and a transfer from Arkansas. And this time Venables leaves the offense on the field on 4th down and 2.
He is not a guy that rolls the dice very often on 4th down. Just over 26% of the time did they go for it, and plus Torrey, that's 119th in the country. And here, quarterback run is what I'm thinking. That's where they lean in short yard situations. Mateer's a powerful runner. He's probably the guy that's probably going to be carrying it on a 4th and 2, excuse me.
6 out of 9 on 4th down, and a timeout called by Oklahoma. A little more time to ponder the play call for Ben Arbuckle. 4:39 to go in the first half. Matchup between two teams ranked in the top 13. Number 8 Ole Miss on top by 5. Back in Norman, Oklahoma, the rain has stopped. The forecast is for no more rain the rest of the day. Field's still a little bit slick on this natural grass surface. 4th down and 2 for Oklahoma. They're down 5. They're at the Ole Miss 46.
You could probably anticipate getting John Mateer on the move with some type of run pass option. He's a great runner, so I'd be looking to keep him moving. Maybe give him an option to throw it if you like it, but quarterback run's what I'm thinking.
He goes under center. They shifted the strength of the formation to their right. Mateer rolls out. He's in trouble. And he is down in the arms of Prince Will Umanmielen. His second big play. He paired with Eccles on the safety earlier in this quarter.
It's a great job by Umanmielen. Just a little 321 loop pass. Umanmielen sees it, fights through some traffic. And there's really nowhere for John Mateer to go. It's really well defended by Ole Miss's defense. They really had a great job with pursuit of the quarterback, but there was also nobody open downfield. Great job by Lane Kiffin's defense.
And a smart move by Mateer. It looked like at the last minute he was going to try to unload it. That could have been disastrous. Kiffin looking for big plays from the defense. He's getting them today. Chambliss back in at quarterback. Lacey the running back. Low throw and down to a knee to catch it. Deuce Alexander for a 4-yard pickup.
You've seen a couple times now with Chambliss on some of his inaccurates. They've been a touch low. That's now 3 or 4 that have forced the receiver to go down and doesn't allow much opportunity after the catch if that ball's off target.
Daquan Wright getting medical attention. He was a question mark during the week, banged up a little bit. One of the best tight ends in the country. Third in the country entering today in receiving yards among tight ends. Transfer from Virginia Tech. Big win for his old team last night at home in Blacksburg against Cal. Monday Night Football, 8 Eastern time. The Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Peyton and Eli's alternate broadcast on ESPN2. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 p.m. Chiefs starting to get it together. 4-1 in their last 5 after that 0-2 start. I bet Eli's watching this today. One of the great Ole Miss Rebels of all time.
I would think he is. He's still very much a part of the program. Very, very important supporter and one of the best to ever do it at the college level.
And now a timeout called by Ole Miss. Ole Miss leading 15-10. 2 timeouts left for Coach Kiffin.
It's not often, though, that you see out of a break where they're not on the same page. Clearly, Ole Miss wants to operate at the line of scrimmage, this huddling thing, and maybe they're not haven't ironed out all the issues from time to time, I suppose.
Of course, with the success of Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's name comes up prominently when jobs are open. And right now, particularly when it comes to Florida. And he addressed that with his team yesterday. Said it's really a credit to the players and coaches when you have success. Your name's going to come up. You'll have opportunities to go elsewhere. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Right now, trying to get his first road win against an SEC opponent in his 6th season in Oxford. Kewan Lacey, the ball carrier for 3. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Usually in this situation, it's Daquan Wright. That's the go-to guy. But with him on the sideline, in comes Luke Haas, the transfer from Arkansas. He's lined up to the left side of Trinidad Chambliss. Keep an eye on the tight end here.
5 out of 9 on 3rd down. Probably not in field goal range right now on this wet field. Chambliss stopped short of the 1st down. Good tackle. Another good tackle by Kip Lewis. Dropped that play for no gain. And they're going to go for this 4th down. They've gone for only 8 all season coming into today. 6 out of 8 on 4th down. The previous 5 years they had averaged 29 4th down attempts per year. Three receivers in a bunch to the left. Lacey on the left hip of Chambliss. Quick pass, 1st down. Harrison Wallace III, better known as Trey, for a 6-yard gain and a 1st down for the Rebels with 2.5 to go in the half.
That was good design and execution. High percentage completion. You get Wallace, who's got some momentum going forward, and here with 1st and 10 in plus territory, might be thinking about at some point take a shot if those safeties get a little bit greedy close to the line.
I'm not sure I would run another play. They don't have to. They have plenty of time to score in the half with the 2 timeouts and the stoppage. Sammy Omosigo drops that for a 3-yard loss. He took down Chambliss. And that will take us to the 2-minute stoppage. been an up and down emotional ride for Lane Kiffin so far today. Harper, they're all pretty good too.
Love those guys.
Love them. Every Saturday. Trinidad Chambliss on 2nd and 13. Caught! Caden Lee inside the 10. Peyton Bowen prevented a touchdown, but Ole Miss gets 30. 11 after the catch.
That was a big-time throw there by Trinidad Chambliss between two defenders.
Lee, returning wide receiver. Lacey stopped for very little by Owen Heineke. They lost some talented wide receivers to the NFL draft. Trey Harris was a 2nd-round pick. Jordan Watkins a 4th-round pick. They have brought in some talent around the returnee. Lee, Stribling, Wallace, Alexander, all talented wide receiver transfers.
And this is a great throw a moment ago. You could see the defender on the outside, Bowen, whose eyes are in the backfield. This ball had to be on time and accurate, or else that corner from the outside in could easily have made a possible play on that ball, but it's perfectly thrown and executed again by Trinidad Chambliss.
Caden Lee with 57 catches last year. So Oklahoma is out of timeouts. And the Rebels have it. 1st down and goal from just inside the 10. Ole Miss already with 249 yards of offense. Oklahoma was giving up just 213 per game to lead the nation entering today. Keywan Lacey. Keywan Lacey looked like he'd be stopped for no gain. He made it all the way down to the 2 before Boganowski finally made the tackle.
A little surprised Oklahoma isn't spending timeout, but they're out of them. That makes sense.
That would be why.
That would make some sense. So perfect. But here, I don't think you need to play fast if you're Ole Miss. Just slow it down. Take that clock all the way down, and given some of the challenges you've had defensively, don't give Oklahoma any chance at the end of this half to go steal some points of their own.
And again, they stay in the huddle till under 15. Looks like it's going to be a direct snap to Lacey. It is, and it's a walk-in touchdown. Lane Kiffin a little happier with the way that drive ended. 12 rushing touchdowns now for Keywan Lacey. That's tied for the national lead with Jonah Coleman of Washington. Lane Kiffin loves Lacey. Came to Ole Miss after 1 year at Mizzou, heavily recruited by Ole Miss out of high school, elected to go to Mizzou. Lane Kiffin reportedly told him, "I'll see you next year." And he did.
And I love the way these two defensive tackles, Jamarius Brown and Will Eccles, look how they attack the outside shoulder of the defenders. Oftentimes you put defensive tackles in the game, they just want to run and hit somebody hard. They're so excited to be on offense that the technique just goes completely sideways. But in this particular case, they attack that outside shoulder, capture the edge, and allows the walk-in for Keywan Lacey. And Lane Kiffin has to love that execution. Under a minute to go in the first half.
Well, Brent Venables knew this would be the biggest test. And right now, his team not holding up particularly well on defense against the Ole Miss Rebels. 9-play scoring drive. Big plays by the Rebel defense today, a part of this 12-point lead. Carneiro's kickoff is a touchback. So 46 seconds and no timeouts for Venables and Mateer. We'll see how they play it. Came into today having given up only 23 first-half points all year through 7 games, 22 today, and 2 touchdowns.
And this is a different animal offensively, and especially at wide receiver. I think you just look at the personnel that Ole Miss has at wide receiver and within the skill groups. It's been a challenge for this Oklahoma defense throughout these first 30 minutes.
Will they be aggressive? Mateer in trouble. Runs away from the rush and now throws incomplete in the direction of Satania. Will Eccles was putting the pressure on Mateer.
And one thing that's been a little concerning, if you're Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma, is how much the offensive line has struggled today. You got 2 freshman tackles in Foje and Fasusi, but it's coming from the interior, from these defensive tackles from Ole Miss, and they're the ones that have been wrecking the game so far.
Great SID at Oklahoma. Michael Hauk tells us in research all the way back to at least 1937. First time they've ever started 2 true freshman offensive tackles. Blaylock the catch. The clock is running. Wydett Williams Jr. made the play for a loss of 1. Oklahoma's trying to go fast. And they're going to snap it on 3rd down. Satania, incomplete pass. Now they're going to have to punt.
Just a bad sequence there from Oklahoma. I mean, you either are going for it or not. But to take some underneath throws and things like that to force a punt here, now you can anticipate all-out block being called by Ole Miss to try to steal some more points before the half. So you better make sure your punt protection's sound here, because you know the Rebels will be coming after it.
In fact, they don't have anybody back deep for the Grayson Miller punt. All 11 up on the line, and a timeout called by Lane Kiffin. So the Rebels have the only it was an early start, probably limited sleep last night for that fan. Ole Miss has the only timeout left, and I think Lane Kiffin and his staff want to make sure they're sound here. You know, they don't want to mess something up with 12 seconds to go in the half by getting a little too tricky on special teams.
Yeah, and probably reminding the guys too, hey, if you can get a hand on the ball, great, but don't rough the punter. I mean, whatever you do, don't give them new life so they can throw a Hail Mary potentially with the first down.
I don't think you'd worry about that. I do think you'd leave yourself a little vulnerable to a fake. They still don't have anybody back, but would Oklahoma risk the fake?
I don't think on 4th and 10.
I don't think so either. I did do a game 10 years ago, Michigan and Michigan State, where the Spartans rushed all 11.
Trouble with the snap.
Trouble with the snap. The anniversary of that. Mason Miller with the rush coming, gets it off. Wallace got in the general vicinity of the ball, but didn't try to catch it. And that's going to be the end of the half on a 49-yard punt. Lane Kiffin looking for his first win on the road against an SEC-ranked opponent. Brent Venables has watched his defense struggle. One of the very few times this season. Chambliss has thrown for 160, and he's rushed for 40. Here's Molly.
Coach, this is the most points your defense has allowed in a first half all season. Where are they challenging you most?
Yeah, again, they do a great job. They're very accurate throwing the football, protecting. But we've missed too many tackles. We had some opportunities to get off the field there. We got to clean up some tackling, play with better leverage on the perimeter, and again, it's going to be a hell of a game here second half.
Just 16 rush yards for your offense. What do you do to adjust in the second half?
Yeah, we got to get the run going. I mean, that's the only chance. We got to come out with better balance and stick to it, be patient, and make our plays when we get our opportunity.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Sean.
All right, Molly, thank you. At the half, Ole Miss 22, Oklahoma 10. Time now for the Capital One halftime report. We send you downstairs. Here's Laura Rutledge. See on ABC, presented by Starbucks. From Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, homecoming weekend. And the home team down by 12 against the 8th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels. It's 22-10. The defense rising up today for Ole Miss, including a safety. Lane Kiffin's team will kick off. That safety, the first for his defense since 2022. They closed with 12 unanswered points. And Lucas Carnero's kickoff is another touchback.
Let's take a look at who's bringing the heat, brought to you by Sonic. And it's the defensive line for the Ole Miss Rebels that have done a great job in opportunistic situations. That's safety early, and then the 4th down stop of Mateer. Uman Mielen plays both plays perfectly with the help of the interior defensive lineman as well. In the second half, Ole Miss's defensive line cannot continue to disrupt the way they did in the first half, and that puts a huge point of emphasis on Oklahoma Sooners offensive line, starting 2 true freshmen at left and right tackle.
John Mateer, 11 out of 14 for 153 and a touchdown. Takes off running and gets 2. So what are they going to have to do to get the offense going? And to the original question, Greg, to start the game, how good is this Sooner defense? Would you be a little concerned about your defense at halftime?
A little bit, especially with some of the plays given up on the perimeter by a secondary that really hadn't been challenged by a group of receivers that are quite this talented.
Centurion Perkins with the tackle for a loss. That was reminiscent of a year ago when he had 4 sacks against the Sooners in Ole Miss's win in Oxford. If this defense can rise up a little bit, Ole Miss is really dangerous with an eye toward trying to get in the SEC championship game and in the playoff, because that's the thing that seems to be holding them back.
Yeah, and they so far through the first 30 minutes they were outstanding, especially on timely down and distance, 3rd down and 4th down.
Mateer on 3rd down and long, deep down the sideline and over the head of Satania. They had 169 yards at the half. 115 of them were on 2 pass plays by Mateer to Satania, including the 76-yard touchdown pass, the only touchdown of the half for OU.
Just not the start you want if you're Ben Arbuckle, and go quarterback run on 1st and 10, get a couple yards, but at some point the run game has to get going, and they got to stay on schedule because these obvious passing situations, their O-line just getting beat inside, and that's hard on a quarterback.
Here's Grayson Miller on to punt for the 3rd time today for Oklahoma. Trey Wallace back forward. Good punt over the head of Wallace. Like a soft bounce on this damp field, and was down by James Nesta at the 16. A 59-yard punt by Miller. So here comes Trinidad Chambliss. 12 for 21 for 160. No touchdowns or interceptions. He also rushed for 40 on 8 carries.
It was his legs that really were problematic at times too, converting long yardage situations with his legs when there looked like there were defenders in the spot one-on-one, and he made a miss and got to the outside on several occasions.
The ball and a 12-point lead in the opening minute and a half of the 3rd quarter. Chambliss under duress, in trouble near the goal line, and throws it away. Owen Heineke kept coming after him. Chambliss kept retreating. Heineke limping a bit as he heads back to the defensive alignment.
And really the first time we've seen Ole Miss try to go for a deep ball. They try to go deep to the left-hand side. Doesn't like it. It's well played. And they force him out of the pocket. And a big throwaway. He had to throw that ball a long way to get out of bounds.
On 2nd and 10, that one's knocked down. Heineke again, a factor on the first 2 plays of this half on defense. Molly.
Well, I asked Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin about their success against this Oklahoma defense, and he pointed to his quarterback and said it's been all Trinidad Chambliss. He's playing really well. The plays with his legs have been a difference maker, so he's hoping that he can bounce back from this.
Chambliss in trouble again, almost back into the end zone. Grayson Halton applying the pressure.
Clearly for Brent Venables, the challenge was accepted by his defense, because that's now 3 plays in a row to start the second half in which they were playing in the opponent's backfield. And this defensive line, that's the strength of the team.
There's a penalty against Oklahoma. Would have been 4th down and 10 and a punt. With a 5-yard walk-off brings it to the 21-yard line.
Couldn't get the substitution off in time, and Chambliss did a great job of snapping it quickly to get that free play.
That could be huge if Ole Miss can convert. 6 out of 12 on 3rd down. They send Wallace a little bit wider outside the numbers to the right. And a diving catch made by Lee, but he's short of the 1st down. Terrific grab by Caden Lee. And at least for the moment, the offense is staying on the field on their own 25-yard line. 4th down and 1.
And in comes Austin Simmons, too, the quarterback. So the 2-quarterback system, the 2-quarterback package here on display for Ole Miss.
Will they snap it and run a play? Would you, Greg?
I think they'll go direct snap here.
They are running. It's a bad snap. Kewan Lacey smothered back at the 15. Lane Kiffin, a huge gamble, and it does not pay off. And I'm really surprised by that, Greg. You have a 12-point lead on the road. Your defense is having one of its best days, and you go for it from this far in your own territory.
Yeah, I don't agree with it at this point. I mean, 4th and 1, Lane's always going to lean towards being aggressive. Analytics, he leans heavy on that. But there on your own 25, you're right, Sean. This year he's gone away from it and felt the game a little more. So I'm very surprised. And the errant snap just destroys the play before it had a chance.
They may want to take the Austin Simmons on the field plays out of the playbook. Didn't work at the goal line. Didn't work there. Mateer trying to bounce outside. Now he's going to throw it, and it's dropped. It would have been a touchdown. Javonte Gibson, the intended receiver. They might have had men downfield as a part of that mad scramble.
It definitely did. It looked like the entire left side of the offensive line was 3 or 4 yards, 5 yards downfield when he decided to throw.
An eligible receiver downfield on the offense, number 56. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Michael Fasusi, a freshman left tackle, understandable with the way that play went. It looked like he was going to take off running.
And it's a hard spot for an offensive lineman. I mean, it's a call to run play. You don't know that he's running around trying to make a play. So it's really impossible for the O-line to know exactly what the quarterback's doing behind him. They're just executing the play, and it results in a legal man downfield.
Trying to take advantage of the turnover on downs, and slipping is Torrey Blaylock. Fans starting to boo. They didn't like the call on 2nd and 15. They might just be booing the anemic running game again today. Just 16 yards rushing for Ben Arbuckle's offense.
At this point, you got to find and involve your best playmakers. Satania needs a look. He's down here in the slot. He's been a little quiet outside of those 2 big plays in the 1st half.
Mateer on the design rollout, being pursued, throws it away. Another well-defended play by the Ole Miss defense. And one way to get your coach off the hook for a questionable decision is to rally up and hold the opponent to a field goal attempt.
Perhaps maybe then you can see Lane Kiffin agonizing, hoping for that result after rolling the dice. But here I would expect just bend don't break defense. I don't think you need to get overly aggressive. The D-line has won. Looks like from Pete Golding they might be bringing pressure.
Xavier Robinson, the running back. Giovanni Gibson went in motion under duress. Mateer sidestepped the rush, but he cannot escape. Prince Will Umanmi Ellens had an enormous day for Pete Golding. His second sack, he was involved in the safety as well.
And it's just a three-man rush. You have 1, 2, 3 with Umanmielen coming off the edge. Then you have Centarian Perkins, who's in spy coverage the whole way. He forces it back inside where he has help. And it's a well-designed and well-executed third down stop.
What a day for Umanmielen, the transfer from Nebraska. Tate Sandell. Good from 42. But a hollow victory for Brent Venables. He wanted a touchdown after the fourth down stop. Interesting day for Lane Kiffin. The defense coming up big. They lead by 9. You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Starbucks. Football playoff situations.
Today's unstoppable performance is brought to you by Ram Trucks, and it's the Ole Miss offense, the offensive line in particular, taking advantage of a poorly designed move by Oklahoma, leads to the first big touchdown run by Kewan Lacey out the gate. And then a little later on, you have Kip Lewis one-on-one with Trinidad Chambliss. He can't make the play. He breaks to the outside. Another critical first down conversion with his legs. And then the throwing game as well, moving him, getting him outside the pocket, getting him comfortable. He has been really solid in bouncing back after a couple misses early. That was something he didn't do last week very well against Georgia, but he's done a great job here today.
5-yard penalty, first down.
You're going to get him with 12 in the huddle. We said that earlier. I mean, Ole Miss is not comfortable huddling, are they?
They don't do it a lot.
This whole thing where you all kind of stand behind the ball and talk about the play, that's a foreign concept.
Look like they might stay in the half huddle until the clock went under 15. They didn't quite do that. They sent Lacey out wide. They faked it to him in motion, and the pass is over the head of Daquan Wright. There was pressure on Chambliss. Jaden Jackson brought the heat.
So far now it's early, only 4 minutes in or so, but this defense is playing with a renewed sense of urgency, especially along the defensive line. They are constantly in pursuit these first few snaps of the second half.
Chambliss, another quick throw. Trey Wallace, good tackle by Eli Bowen. Sophomore from Corinth, Texas. Held it to a 7-yard gain. Third down and 8. Sun trying to peek out from behind the clouds for the first time today. Didn't see the sun here yesterday either. Trinidad Chambliss, just a 4-man rush, well blocked, and it is caught for a first down. Winston Watkins, the true freshman from Fort Myers, Florida.
Very well done there by the protection for Ole Miss to allow that route to develop.
15-yard gain. I think Watkins is a future standout. 186 for Chambliss. He's thrown for at least 250 in each of his first 5 starts. On a high snap and handed it off to Lacey. Stopped by Owen Heineke, among others.
One thing that they are really concerned about is this pass rush. Understandably, they come in with 26 sacks on the gate. Just 1 so far today. But that route took a long time to develop. And Lane Kiffin's got to love the accuracy from his quarterback.
He's the first Ole Miss quarterback to throw for 250 in each of his first 5 starts since Eli Manning back in 2001. Deep throw over the head of Deuce Alexander. Son of Hilton Alexander, the wide receiver in the NFL. Portland Guillory had the coverage.
You're on a third down and medium. You want to be aggressive at the defensive line. You want to get that sack. You want to get your name in the paper, but you got to be disciplined because the legs for Trinidad Chambliss on third down have been a huge problem with over pursuit in the pass rush.
Wide open receiver, first down. It's Watkins again.
Sometimes in coverage, I just never understand. I'm a quarterback, so I know soft coverage when I see it. It's 3rd down and 7, and your defender's playing at 12 yards deep. I just don't understand why they would play so deep on a short throw.
13-yard gain, both catches for Watkins on this drive. Chambliss, an incomplete pass toward Daquan Wright.
I mean, look at the yellow line. I mean, that's the easiest throw in the world for the quarterback, and yet the defender, Peyton Bowen, is 15 yards away from him. I mean, they didn't have the correct communication. They clearly doubled the outside receiver, and nobody's home, but at least get up there and defend and don't give up that freebie for the conversion.
And they're playing off, and then they got their coverage confused. Neither one of them wound up trying to cover him. Chambliss, pressure coming. Yeah, that one is incomplete. Diving interception attempt for Guillory, the true freshman from Houston out of Klein Oak.
Now a similar situation. It's 3rd down. Will they continue to play that off coverage, or will they get up a little bit more and challenge these wide receivers and slow down their routes to allow that pass rush to get home?
What would you do?
I would get up there and I'd get a little tighter. I'd get much closer to the line of scrimmage and not give them so much space outside.
Pressure, and it is incomplete. Behind Stribling. Guillory, the coverage again. Flag down late. Crowd thinks it's going to be for a personal foul against Oklahoma, as they booed when they saw the flag fly.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 65. Contact above the shoulders. That's a 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And a huge call against Jaden Jackson. It would have been 4th down and 10 at the 41.
And I don't love it at all. I mean, Jaden Jackson's just trying to play.
That's brutal.
He's trying to rush the quarterback. He's engaged with the left guard, Delano Townsend, and he's not trying to do anything malicious. There's no malicious intent there. That's just, I don't like that
above the shoulders either. I mean, he's shoving him in the shoulder pad.
Venables understandably frustrated with that one.
That's brutal. Yeah, and it's, you know, not just a bad call, but the timing of it, right? It's going to be 4th down and 10 on the 41-yard line. Now they're in field goal range.
It's at least a 3-point penalty at the moment. Could easily become a 7-point penalty in a heartbeat. Venables' frustration is completely understandable.
I don't blame him. Deuce Alexander, the catch and run. Michael Boganowski, the tackle, 6-yard gain. Crowd still booing.
It's frustrating very much as a defense to have a call go against you. I get that, but you have to play the next play. You cannot allow that penalty to impact the urgency that you play with here on these next few snaps. So don't let it linger. Break it now.
Lacey, what footwork! And he has a first down to the 14-yard line. 6-yard gain. He's one of the best in the country at making defenders miss.
For a guy that's tall, too. I mean, he's got long legs. He's high-hipped. For him to be able to break as quickly as he does and slide laterally is very impressive.
Chambliss stopped for a loss. Well, that penalty was huge. Let's bring in our rules expert, Matt Austin. What say you, Matt?
Yeah, Sean, I agree with you and Greg about the hit from the front. I don't think it was above the shoulders at all. But watch number 16 come in late from the right-hand side of the screen. Puts his helmet right in the quarterback's back. So I would like to think that maybe the referee saw that as a combination of the two hits, because that hit by 16 was definitely late, and getting the helmet in the back like that, that can hurt.
Yeah, well, that's not what they announced. It also looked like Ole Miss might have been guilty of hands to the face on Jackson. High throw, incomplete pass. Tight coverage again by Cortland Guillory on Dejon Stribling.
And Stribling almost went up and made a play here. This would have been a heck of a catch. Big and strong, gets one arm on it, but can't quite reel it in. And now a 3rd and 11. Haven't seen a ton of pressure this drive on third down from Oklahoma. This would be the spot where I'd be thinking it might be coming. Do they bring the heat or they drop it out? But here in the red zone, might be more willing to play coverage and drop out.
Chambliss pulls it down, takes off running, and he slips as he tried to cut, and he goes down about 3 yards short of the line to gain. And now a decision for Lane Kiffin. He's had a number of big decisions today. Both sides lean on analytics, and after some consideration, Lane sends the field goal team on, trying to make it a 12-point lead.
Yeah, I agree with this. If it's 4th and 2 or less, maybe 4th and 1, then I'd strongly consider going for it. But on 4th and 3, that's a little bit tougher. So in a game in which your defense is playing well, I'm good with taking the field goal.
Now Carnero.
The leg hang on the offense. 5-yard penalty. What a nice work down.
Shouldn't be an issue for Carnero.
It's the funniest thing, though. Anytime you just adjust the 5 yards, you take a delay game, it's amazing what the miss percentages do as far as going up. So I would hope it doesn't have an impact on Carnero, but sometimes it does with crazy kicking
sometimes when
game.
you're close and you're over by the hash mark, it's actually better to back up a little bit. It's not quite as severe an angle. Still just a 30-yard kick. Carter Short, the snapper. Oscar Berg, the holder. Boy, these kickers are so good. All over college football. We have 2 standouts here today. Nice drive, engineered by Chambliss, paid off by Carnero. It's 25-30. Alums back for homecoming weekend on a rapidly improving weather day here in Norman, Oklahoma. Lucas Carnero's had a perfect day. Decides to bounce this one down the field. Did it go out short of the pylon? Yes, it did. Usually just bangs him through the end zone. But the sun coming out, the breeze has picked up. It was not doing anything when the game started, but now with the sun out, there is a breeze into the face of Ole Miss. So perhaps that was why Carnero didn't try to boot it through the air out of the back of the end zone.
Sure, and now you look at how things have gone in this game. It's been pretty much ideal for Pete Golding and this Ole Miss defense because they have done a great job in kind of limiting what Oklahoma's done here after the first 3 drives. They've had to defend just 29 offensive snaps. That's down from 84 against Georgia a week ago.
Just more than 1 yard per play. The last 5 possessions for Oklahoma. 4 of the 5 have resulted in no yards or a negative. This is going to be a big gainer. Xavier Robinson, touchdown! 65 yards. And time to update the Oklahoma drive chart. That changes the stats in a hurry. Tate Sandell makes it 25-20. The Ole Miss D's played so well today, but they've given up a couple of really big plays for touchdowns.
And watch Wydett Williams right here. Watch him as he tries to make a play. He just gets lost. I mean, the back is up inside, kind of lost in the mesh. He all of a sudden decides to go too far inside. They lose leverage of the football to the outside. And that's exactly where Robinson gets to for a massive play. And a gotta-have-it moment, it felt like, for Oklahoma to find something offensively. Poor pursuit in the back end defensively from Ole Miss leads to a big play and a much-needed score.
Xavier Robinson, sophomore from Yukon, Oklahoma. Longest run of his career. The previous was 40 yards last year against Alabama in a win over the Tide here. It's the longest rush of the season for Oklahoma. They had 12 yards rushing. prior to that 65-yard run. I won't ask the academic All-American at Alabama to add that up for us.
That'll change the averages in a hurry, won't it?
It will indeed. And it's just more of the same for Ole Miss. Breakdowns in defense, whether it's in pass coverage or run fits, and they pay the price. 76-yard touchdown pass for Oklahoma in the first half, a 65-yard touchdown run. Crowd back into it.
Now, very important for Ole Miss to kind of get things back on track for them. Their offense is the most important drive of the day by a mile. To kind of flip momentum and kind of get that crowd to calm down just a hair.
That pass batted high in the air, and it falls incomplete. Grayson Halton's had a nice day in the middle of that defensive line. Trying to quiet the crowd with a run. That won't work. Lacey stopped for a short gain by our Mason Thomas. Well, last week at Georgia, they had a 9-point lead. And when it got tight late, Chambliss did not respond well with the crowd going crazy in Athens. He finished 1 for his last 10. He told us this week, I need to do a better job of finishing games. 20 minutes and change to go here. They're ahead by 5 now. Play clock down to the final seconds. Chambliss, quick hitter, and the ball's incomplete. Never possessed by Daquan Wright with Kendall Daniels there for Oklahoma.
What great recognition by Daniels. Watch immediately how quickly his eyes go right to the screen. Looks right at it, sees it, goes straight to it, and makes a play. That's great play recognition by Daniels for the stop.
Oscar Bird, the punt to Satania. Very short punt. Took a good bounce, but still not a good punt. Out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Just 32 yards. Oklahoma back within a score. You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 30 Eastern Time by number 3 Texas A&M and number 20 LSU. Both games available on the all-new ESPN app. Here in Norman, momentum on the side of Oklahoma after the 65-yard touchdown run by Xavier Robinson, who gets 3 to start this possession.
I think they need to continue to try to lean on that offensive line. This group is playing with an inspired look these last few plays. Seeing a little more movement of those powder blue helmets being pushed back a lot more than we saw in the first half of the football game.
They have 233 yards of offense to the Sooners, 180 of them on 3 plays. 53 yards on every other play. Here's Deion Burks with some running room after the catch. And on the Oklahoma sideline, they think he got the first down. He did. Here's Molly.
Well, at halftime, Lane Kiffin warned his team about these swings and momentum that they'll see in the second half. He told them, we've been in this position before. Last week, we were up 2 scores and didn't finish. We would be undefeated if it weren't for that. So learn from your mistakes. Finish this game. And defensive players telling each other on the sidelines, finish them. Do not let them get any more confidence here. Sean.
All right, Molly, thank you. That's the big play that's hurt them. Robinson again, and a flag thrown.
Looked like it was a hand that got up into the face mask of Robinson. Saw his head kind of turn to the right. Might be tacking 15 onto this.
Well, that's what the crowd thinks. They cheered as soon as they saw the flag thrown from the far side of the field.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 44. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. It is first down.
Andrew Jones, the linebacker.
And you can see the right hand up there on the face mask of Robinson, twisting his head all the way to the side. And the official on the far side is the one that saw that head turn. So a good call.
7-yard run, 15-yard penalty. Oklahoma's at the Ole Miss 28-yard line. Robinson remains the running back. Mateer faked it to him. Mateer takes off running. John Mateer inside the 15 and shoved out of bounds near the 12 by Chris Graves Jr.
A lot of quarterbacks do their damage in the scramble drill on third down, but that's not really where Mateer does it. Third down, he keeps his eyes downfield. First and second, he'll take it with his legs, and this time he does it for another nice gain.
16 yards. He was chased away from the pocket by Jamarius Brown. Now, the defense shouldn't be tired. As you mentioned earlier, it's a low snap count. Oklahoma's run only 34 offensive plays to 66 for Oklahoma, for Ole Miss rather. Cam Franklin made the stop on Mateer after a 1-yard play.
Part of the field, they do a really good job of trying to find opportunities for matchups, and the two guys that can exploit those two matchups are down here in the slot. You have Burks, who's lined up one-on-one, and Satania one-on-one down here as well.
Mateer looks in their direction, pulls it down, has some running room, and then runs out of room. He was hoping for a block from Burks. He didn't get it. And Kapenna Gushigan took down his former Washington State teammate from a year ago at the 10-yard line. So a huge third down here. Ole Miss would desperately love to force a field goal try and retain the lead in the final minute and a half of the third quarter.
If I'm Mateer, I'm looking up to the top. I have two defenders on my two best weapons. Those are the two guys stacked up top I'm looking at.
Satania went in motion again, dangerously close to heading up the field. Robinson heads to the end zone. Touchdown! Back-to-back scores for Robinson and the lead for OU. First lead of the day for the Sooners. And they're going to go for two. They'll try to make it a 3-point lead. Go for Dos, brought to us by Dos Equis. Corey Blaylock went in motion. Mateer throws it in his direction, but low, and the try for two fails. Xavier Robinson, a 2-touchdown game, back-to-back scores to give Oklahoma the lead.
And these two offensive linemen right here on the left side, Ozaida and Fususi, they try to go against Will Eccles, who kind of olays his way out of the hole, tried to go around him to the outside, but him moving just ever so slightly allows for plenty of space up on the interior. And that's where Robinson finds it, just poorly defended along the line of scrimmage by Ole Miss, but a great job by the O-line of Oklahoma.
His second career 2 TD game Had one against Alabama last year when they struggled through a 6 and 7 year. That loss by Alabama here probably kept the Tide out of a college football playoff. Oklahoma's already matched its win total from last season. 6-1 entering today. And now with the lead with 1:04 to go in the third quarter. And Tate Sandel's kickoff is another touchback. Well, shades of last week when they had a 2-score lead and let it get away. The difference today for Chambliss, he has plenty of time to rally the troops.
This is a massive drive for Ole Miss, too. They have got to find something in the run game. They had 98 yards rushing in the first half. So far, just 9 in the second half. They have to find something in the ground because the pass rush is turned up from the Sooners' front.
Pressured as he rolls to the right. Caught. Good play on first down for the Rebels. Kewan Lacey. They'll mark him down at the 34-yard line. A gain of 9.
Talked to Charlie Weiss and Lane Kiffin. They said we should have done a better job in the fourth quarter to take care of their quarterback by moving the pocket and running the football. There they moved the pocket on 1st and 10. Good play.
Lacey did not get the first down. Jaden Jackson made the play, the sophomore from Indianapolis.
Normally in short yard situations with Ole Miss, you see a direct snap. But they've had 3 off-target snaps from their center, Bryson Sanders, today. Do they trust going with the direct snap, knowing their center's been a little bit off-target with the shotgun snaps today? I would say so.
Play fake to Lacey, down the middle. Luke Hasz was wide open behind the defense, and the ball was too long.
Man, he had him. It's perfectly designed, it's perfectly executed. He gets behind the defense, but it's a tight end. It's not a receiver. You have to give him a little bit more air to allow him to run underneath it, and Charlie Weiss knows it was a big missed opportunity. We'll go for it again on 4th down. No surprise, they did it earlier in the half, so I'm okay with it here because it's 4th and really short.
Now they line up Daquan Wright, the tight end, as if he might go under center. He does not. Chambliss pressured, first down. Harrowing play for Ole Miss. Chambliss just got it off, got it to Daquan Wright for a first down on the last play of the third quarter. Very entertaining first 3 quarters here in Norman. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
And a big moment here, and the lot had to go right here for this play to be executed. It was really well defended. It had to get a good block by Wallace out to the outside. You had to get tight turn by Daquan Wright. You had to negotiate Jaden Hardy off the edge. You had to throw its sidearm around the defender. That was a lot going on a 4th and inches play that was critical.
They did well to get the throw off, and then they needed to run after the catch with the help from the Wallace block for the 4th down conversion. Kip Lewis, another tackle to hold it to a 1-yard gain for Kewan Lacey.
Man, that was a big tackle by Kip Lewis, because if Kewan Lacey somehow breaks that tackle, he's one-on-one with the safety with a lot of grass.
Chambliss faked it to Lacey, stayed in a block, a wide open receiver. Winston Watkins inside the 20. 40-yard gain for Watkins. And Chambliss over 250 now for the 6th straight start. Daquan Wright went in motion, trying to seal the block for Kewan Lacy, who's down inside the 15.
And a moment ago, it was such a great play by Kip Lewis to tackle in the open field. This time he doesn't get any reroute on the wide receiver. He has to collision that wide receiver. He lets him go to the inside. There's plenty of space, and it's a well-timed and accurate throw by Chambliss, but one great play by Kip Lewis, and then not so great on the second down, led to a big play.
Second and 6. At the very least, they're in field goal range, which would put them back on top. They want at least 6. Timeout called by Ole Miss.
Before the clock ran out, timeout. Ole Miss.
$13:15 to go. Another dandy in the SEC here on ABC. A dandy at the Palace on the Prairie, which hosted its first game 100 years and a week ago. Ole Miss, twice led by a couple of scores. Watched the lead disappear, and now driving to reclaim it. Second and 6, they're on the move at the Oklahoma 14. Trinidad Chambliss, 20 out of 39 for 261. He's rushed for 47. Lacy's rushed for 80 on 20 carries. He has scored 2 touchdowns. They faked it to him. Immediate pressure. He got it off to Daquan Wright, who got dumped in the flat by Robert Spears Jennings, senior safety from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
So far, this pass rush from Oklahoma here in the second half has been much more disruptive. But here, looking right now like it's going to be a bit of a flat top. But I think they'll probably bust out of that because you don't want to give up an underneath completion or broken tackle for a conversion.
Chambliss takes off running, needs the 8, and he got past it. There's his mom, Cheryl, who's been to every one of his games since high school.
Just a great call against that breakout zone coverage.
Gain of 10, first and goal. Lacy had nowhere to run. It didn't help that he slipped, but the sea of crimson-clad defenders in front of him, led by Taylor Wine and Cortland Guillory, to drop it for a loss of 2.
And earlier in the game, Ole Miss had some success running the ball to the perimeter, and they've kind of adjusted. They've gone more up and inside, but here on second down, your Oklahoma's defense, think deception. Find Daquan Wright, the tight end. They might try to bluff him and get him into the end zone some way, somehow.
They line up in the pistol now. We haven't seen much of that today. Play fake to Lacy. Chambliss throws wide open. Touchdown. Trace Bruckler. His first touchdown of the season. Just his 3rd catch of the year. And what a drive led by Cheryl Sun. 75 yards, 11 plays, 4.5 minutes. And it's shaping up as a classic here in Norman. They're going for 2. They have Austin Simmons back on the field. And that one is incomplete. Off the hands of Caleb Odom. To the frustration of Lane Kiffin. That's huge. Would have been a 7-point lead. Now a touchdown, and you're behind again.
Well, everybody knows that Daquan Wright's the go-to guy this part of the field. So what do with him? They utilize him as a decoy. And then you slip the other tight end out the other direction for some great misdirection. He actually even goes to the ground. This is a throwback play that is so difficult for the defense to defend, especially when you have a tendency that shifts towards one player. He becomes the decoy, you throw away from it, and it's an easy walk-in score for the Rebels on a tremendous drive.
Bruckler on a likely target in his first year at Ole Miss after 4 at New Mexico. Had 5 touchdown catches for the Lobos over 4 years, 2 of them last year. His first score as a Rebel. .11 and a half to go. Carnero taking off with the wind. It's touchback. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, AT&T keeping fans connected as we take a look at our multi-view, showcasing a bunch of great games across our networks. We're keeping an eye on what's going on in Chapel Hill. ACC Network, number 16 Virginia, double-digit favorites, but tied right now against Bill Belichick's Tar Heels with under 3 minutes to go. Back to you.
All right, Kevin. So now the onus back on John Mateer. He's 12 out of 17 for 160 and a touchdown. Xavier Robinson has taken over as the primary ball carrier with great success. A 6-yard gain. Jaden Yates made the tackle. Transfer from Marshall. The Sooners line up very quickly. Mateer waved his way near the 33 before he was driven back by Yates again. And TJ Dottery, their 2 linebackers in a 4-2-5 alignment.
Big reason why Oklahoma's been able to climb back in this game has been the improved play along the offensive line. They've really done a great job here in the second half of reestablishing the line of scrimmage a couple yards downfield. Now here on a 3rd and 3, do you trust them or do you throw it? I'd probably throw it, knowing I trust my quarterback a little more than I do that offensive line.
Late substitution on the defensive front, and now Oklahoma scrambling to shift. Robinson, what a second half he has had. Dragging Rebels with him to the 41-yard line and a first down.
It's another good job by the left side of this offensive line. They have done a really nice job these last few plays. Pierre-Louis and Fususi just getting some movement there on the left side and creating a hole for Robinson.
He's up to 101 yards on just 7 carries. His career high is 107. That game last year against Alabama we've referenced a couple of times, in which he scored twice. Stopped after a short gain there by Sunterian Perkins. He lined up pretty quickly. Mateer, look out from behind. He escaped from Uman Mielen, but got back near the line of scrimmage, not quite there. Finished off by Cam Franklin.
Uman Mielen has had a really big game. Again, just right around the left tackle. Fususi forces Mateer. It's a good job by Mateer staying up initially, and then nothing's there downfield and rallying for another sack. 3rd and 10, though, thinking Satania all day long. He's their guy on 3rd down. Doesn't even look like he's on the field here, so you'd be thinking Burks instead.
Mateer, lots of time, steps into the throw, and it's broken up. Well covered. He did try to get it to Deion Burks. It was defended by Wydett Williams Jr. It was a little slow to get up. He landed hard, might have knocked the wind out of him.
Man, he was in the air for a very long time. And like you said, John, hits really hard on the sideline, but that was a great defensive play by Williams, who would not fit the run earlier that led to the big touchdown run by Robinson. This time he makes a great play in the passing game.
He's a transfer from ULM. Had a nice year last year for the Warhawks, and they needed some reinforcements. They lost a lot of veteran defensive backs from a year ago. Timeout, 8:46 to go. from Norman, Oklahoma, just the third meeting all time between the Sooners and the Rebels. They'll get to know each other well. The 9-game schedule coming in the SEC of conference games next year. Each team will have 3 opponents they play every year over the next 6, and for Oklahoma and Ole Miss, the opponent today is one of those 3 teams. Grayson Miller, a punt. And it rolls down near the 15-yard line. It was 22-10 for Ole Miss at the half. They still had 25-20 in the third quarter. Xavier Robinson, a 65-yard touchdown run, followed it up with another to give Oklahoma its first lead, but then a nice drive resulted in a touchdown catch by Trace Buckler. So a 5-point lead for Ole Miss. They've had a decided edge in time of possession and plays run. And that 43 plays run by Oklahoma has helped limit the pitch count for that Ole Miss defense, which has been a concern for Pete Golding, particularly lately, and the starters played too many plays. Nothing for Lacey on first down, Molly.
Well, on Ole Miss's sideline, quarterback Trinidad Chambliss gathered together some of his lead wide receivers in a circle, and he was very animated, telling them, I trust you. This game is coming down to you guys. And Chambliss also spent a lot of time talking to head coach Lane Kiffin about strategy and finishing strong.
I would think the strategy, Greg, would be you can't be too conservative here. The way this game is going, each team responding. He's 4 for 4 in the fourth quarter today with that strike to Trey Wallace. He stopped well short of the first down. Third down along 5. They're 9 out of 18 on third down. 50%. Oklahoma's opponents were converting only 24% of the time prior to today.
There's a lot of cushion right now over Caden Lee. He's in the slot down at the bottom, and they're 9 or 10 yards off of him on just a 3rd and 5, excuse me.
Lacey went out wide. That pass is incomplete. Off the hands of Harrison Wallace, the third. And eyeing an interception, the Sooners defense.
That was well defended there on the outside. They actually hit the exact same play earlier in the game, but they were able to negotiate around the defender, but it was Okoye who dropped right underneath it. It was well covered by the corner.
So a 3-and-out forced by Oklahoma. 4th punt of the day for Oscar Bird. And a good one with the wind at his back. Isaiah Satania. The ball came out at the end. Rebels think they have it. No word yet from the officials. Yes, it is. Ole Miss ball.
Rolling on the field is a fumble by Oklahoma, recovered by Ole Miss. First down.
Deuce Alexander knocked it out. And Trace Bruckler, who scored the go-ahead touchdown a moment ago, recovered it.
And it was Bruckler who was coming in to clean it up right here with the elbow. As you see the ball start to slip out. Tremendously well done by the punt cover team for Ole Miss. You reference Alexander, but there's Bruckler right there with the elbow. Is that left knee down? They'll look at it.
First turnover of the game.
Watch the
and
left.
Just the 5th takeaway of the year for Ole Miss.
Yep, nothing down. That was a massive moment there.
The field is a fumble. The previous play is under further review.
Been a very quiet day in the replay booth. This seemed to be pretty obvious that he wasn't down, but they're going to take a look at it anyway. 7:04 to go. A 5-point game. After the replay review, the call on the field stands. It was a fumble. You see the ball coming out before any part of Satania's down. Came at the end of a 20-yard return. It looked like it was going to set up Oklahoma in great shape. Instead, it's the Rebels celebrating. The first takeaway for either team in this game. Just the 5th for Ole Miss this season. They started the day with 4, tied with Oklahoma for the fewest in the SEC. They're going for the knockout punch. Chambliss on target. Winston Watkins, what a second half the freshman's had. Out of bounds at the 10-yard line.
Just a beautiful throw there by Trinidad Chambliss, working the safety to the far side, knew he had one-on-one, and he drops it in there perfectly as they decide to go for the jugular on sudden change. And now they're knocking on the door again.
It was already a career day for the true freshman Watkins in terms of number of catches, yards. That's up to 4 catches and 111 yards after a 43-yard play. Our Mason Thomas the stop on Trinidad Chambliss.
Hasn't been anything for Ole Miss in the run game here in the second half. So the big sequence here. Obviously a field goal still makes it a one-possession game. So very important for Ole Miss to try to get 6. Path of least resistance through the air, though. Running the ball has been a non-starter here in the second half of this football game.
"11 explosive plays now for Ole Miss today. After that 43-yard play to Watkins. Oklahoma hadn't given up more than 6 in a game all year. Lacey knocked back. Jaden Jackson another play for a 2-yard deficit for Ole Miss. 5.5 to go, and a huge 3rd down and goal here from the 16.
Very, very dicey situation if you're the quarterback here. You cannot throw it into traffic. I would anticipate just a 3-man rush. Drop 8 coverage from Oklahoma. They've utilized quarterback draw with success today. Might even see a screen, but you cannot take any unnecessary risks here in a low percentage probability of creating a conversion.
And as much as they'd like the touchdown and the 2-score lead, you don't want to give away a field goal. And an 8-point lead, and Lacey stopped at the 20. Kip Lewis again with Owen Heineke. Loss of 4, and here comes the field goal team.
Really big stand there from Oklahoma's defense. After the big play given up, they're on their heels, and then 3 straight plays, they knock Ole Miss back to stop the touchdown drive.
12 tackles now for Kip Lewis. Here's a 37-yard attempt by Carnero to give them an 8-point lead. Not only does he make all of them, they're almost all straight down the heart. That was just a little left of center. So it's an 8-point game. Oklahoma needs a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. 4:09 to go. We'll take a look at today's college football rankings brought to us by Prudential. Well, UCLA had a nice little stretch, but Indiana brought them back to earth today. Big one for A&M tonight, trying to stay undefeated. Alabama and South Carolina right after us. And Syracuse poised for a comeback.
Yes.
In Atlanta.
Don't count out the Orange.
No.
No. They're a fourth-quarter team. They're a fourth-quarter team, Sean. You're going to be fine.
And who do you like in that Vandy, Missouri game? Another ranked against ranked matchup?
Man, such a tough one. I love both those teams. Like, they're both very complete. I lean Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt has better quarterback. Diego Pavia is playing as well at that position as anybody in the sport.
No fade in the 4th quarter today for the Ole Miss offense. Carnero's 4 field goals, tying his career high, kicked 4 last year for Western Kentucky against Jacksonville State. I know you called that game. Another touchback by Carnero, been a difference maker for Ole Miss this season. So here comes Mateer, full complement of timeouts, 2-minute stoppage, down by 8.
Really their best offensive weapon so far in the second half has been running the football with Xavier Robinson. So no need to get into a 2-minute operation. You got plenty of time. You know you need the touchdown and a 2-point conversion, but don't abandon the run by any stretch.
Short set by Mateer. Good catch of a throw behind him by Dion Burks. He comes up just short of the first down with a 9-yard gain. The clock goes under 4 minutes to go. Sun shining as brightly as it has all day now. Jaron Kanak, the tight end. Good run after the catch to get them all the way to midfield with a 16-yard pickup. Former linebacker who converted to tight end this season, successfully so. He's the 4th leading tight end in the country in terms of receiving yards this year with nearly 400. A flinch along the line. There is a flag, probably offside against Ole Miss. The pass incomplete to the far sideline, but it did look like the Rebels jumped.
Might get one on the left tackle too, because it looked like Guman Mielen was coming off the edge and might have had his momentum slowed by a grab at the jersey.
I think Lane Kiffin agrees with you.
Both teams holding 56 on the offense. Offside defense number 51. Those offset. We'll replay first down.
Xavier Harris jumped. Ben Arbuckle, Brent Venables' offense coordinator, referred to Harris yesterday as Shaquille O'Neal. Said he looks like Shaquille O'Neal in the middle of that defensive line at 6'8", 330 pounds. Veteran player. Unusual to see a guy play 4 or 5 years for one school these days, but he's making his 45th appearance for Ole Miss. Mateer trying to get away. And he did remarkably well to get back to the line of scrimmage, given that it didn't look promising for him for most of that. Under 3 minutes to go. They have plenty of time at midfield already, and with the 3 timeouts and the 2-minute stoppage.
You got to think at some point they're going to try to pop a run here too. I mean, haven't seen any runs on this drive so far, and that's been their best weapon offensively. And against the 5-man box, I'd run it here.
4-man rush, some twisting inside by the Rebs front. That throw up for grabs, intended for Satania, covered by Gushikin. 3rd down and 10, 2:34 to go.
Very aggressive on these last couple plays from Ben Arbuckle when the quick passing attack was really good. So far, Ole Miss in the back end defensively, they haven't tackled real well. So I don't really know why they're trying to get it all right now. Just get the catch and run stuff that's worked so well for you.
Four out of 11 on 3rd down, the Sooners. Mateer, single coverage, lots of hand fighting, and there is a flag. 3 flags thrown, in fact. Ricky Fletcher likely going to be called for pass interference as he was covering Giovanni Gibson.
Pass interference, defense, number 9. That's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
I think it's the right call. I mean, he's just grabbing that right arm of Gibson, is trying to make a play on it, and you see him just hold on for dear life. So absolutely the correct call, regardless of how much he wants to try to argue it on the sideline.
Gibson injured to start the year. He's become a presence in the last couple of weeks. Caught 5 balls against South Carolina last week. Big target, 6'2", 211. He looks even taller than that. Well, the penalty gives Oklahoma the first down with 2:28 to go. Mateer knocked back for a loss of 2. Will Venables use a timeout here? It seems he will. Cam Franklin leading the way for the Ole Miss defense. Well, they stopped the clock for a minute, but he didn't use a timeout. Now they're winding the clock.
Mateer's on the sideline.
And they're going to let it go to the 2-minute stoppage, apparently. Whit Neubauer, backup quarterback, came on the field. So a timeout with 2 minutes to go. Ole Miss 34, Oklahoma 26. Neubauer is the quarterback on 2nd and 12. So John Mateer on the sideline. Xavier Robinson, the ball carrier, and Neubauer comes out. Mateer back in after one play. 7-yard gain.
There's a replay. The clock never ran. We're going to check replay to confirm the clock.
They're going to use replay to see how much time should have come off the clock. The clock didn't move. And one of the reasons the numbers are so promising for Ole Miss with an eye toward the playoff with a win today, they have, by SEC standards, a very easy schedule going forward. They don't have another ranked opponent on the schedule. South Carolina, Citadel, and Florida are all in Oxford. Only one road game left today, and that won't be easy. The Egg Bowl in Starkville.
Set the clock to 1:52, and there'll be 40 on the play clock, please.
And the converse is true for Oklahoma. They have a brutal schedule left. 4 more games after today, all against ranked opponents.
Look at that Ole Miss schedule, too. 2 of those 3 very difficult games are at home. And, of course, the Egg Bowl, anything can happen. But at that point, you're sitting there 10-1. Might not matter the result of the Egg Bowl. You never want to say that about your playoff candidacy.
Still plenty of time. I think one of the reasons Venables hasn't been using any of the timeouts, he knows they have plenty of time. They're going to go for it on 4th down all the way. He doesn't want to leave Ole Miss time. Mateer throws. Breaking open was Jaron Kanak, and the throw was not on target. Lydette Williams Jr. trying to get into coverage on Kanak.
He had a step for sure, but here, big 4th down, and the most reliable guy for Oklahoma has been Satania. He's lined up in the slot at the top. He's the guy that you want to find a matchup for. So if you need to motion him, motion him. If you need to move him. But he needs to be the guy you're looking in the direction of. I'd anticipate Ole Miss trying to double him.
0 for 1 on 4th down. Passive rush. Mateer incomplete. Over the head of Giovanni Gibson. And the Ole Miss defense holds and takes over on downs.
And this is just a mistake by Mateer. It's 4th and 5. You need to think about the conversion before you think about going for the jugular. He's got Satania wide open. Give it to him at 1st and 10. Instead, on 4th and 5, you throw a low percentage throw down the field. You got it right there. Take it. Don't agree with the decision by Mateer on these last handful of snaps being as aggressive as he was down the field when a lot of the underneath completions were there.
Now, that's one of the things that Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle told us about Mateer. They appreciate what a fine season he's had, but they do believe the decision-making could be better. I thought it was particularly a problem in the loss against Texas. Understandable. You know, he's a Dallas-Fort Worth kid playing in the Red River rivalry. He's Kewan Lacey, wants to stay in bounds and does. With an 8-yard gain, Owen Heineke finally got him down. And Oklahoma will use its first timeout.
Timeout, Oklahoma. Their first of the half.
I think you're right, though, Sean. I mean, when you watch Mateer, he's so great. I love watching this young man play. He's such a competitor. But the game management, there are aspects where he can grow there. And I think being too aggressive at times, pressing at times, is something that's been kind of used against him. And it's led to mistakes like right there on a 4th and 5 when you got a 1st and 10 right in front of you.
I think if you're an Ole Miss fan, you know, the offense is probably about what you expected, maybe even better, given the caliber of the competition on the opposing defense today. If you're a Rebels fan, I would be encouraged by the defensive play today. Gave up a couple of big plays. That's been an ongoing problem. But they also made plays, and they haven't really made a lot of big plays through the first 7 games.
And there haven't been nearly as many mistakes. And if you point to the big plays created, they were mistakes. There's poor run fit by Lydette Williams on the long run. They blew a coverage that allowed Satania to get deep for a big one as well. So they can kind of look internally and say, hey, those plays were on us. And that's always kind of a good feeling from a coaching standpoint.
Well, Oklahoma clinging to hope, but that helps as they stop that play for a loss for Lacey. They're down to 1 timeout left. And if Ole Miss can convert here, it is over. and they will have their first ranked win against an SEC opponent on the road in the 6th-season Lane Kiffin era. He keeps checking boxes, things that either haven't happened at Ole Miss or haven't happened in a long time. And for as much as he's done, you know, play for a conference championship, get in the college football playoff. There's more to be done, but what he's done is remarkable. They're in the pistol. Must-stop situation for Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin wants to make sure they have the right play.
30 seconds.
I think another part of the story, Trinidad Chambliss, by his own admission, said I need to do a better job finishing games. He's done that today.
He started it well, too. I mean, accurate throw on the move there to Caden Lee in a very tight window. He's also been really smart with his legs. 3rd and long situation, anticipating a 3-man rush. He sees it, decides to go with quarterback draw, and does a really good job of splitting defenders to get the necessary yardage. And here on the throwback play to Bruckler, he plays it perfectly. Eyes are to the right, gets all the defenders to look over in that direction towards Daquan Wright, and then he finds Bruckler out backside for a big touchdown. He's been so good today, and they'll be curious, do you trust them to throw it here? They've had a hard time running between the tackles. Do they go with maybe a high percentage throw? Probably not. Probably just run it here, maybe to the outside.
I would not throw it if I were them. Make Oklahoma use the last timeout. Here's Kewan Lacey, and he'll be stopped for a loss. Initial contact from Kendall Daniels. So that was big. It was 2nd down and short, and then a couple of big plays by the defense. So faint hope for John Mateer, but they're going to get the ball back, barring an unforeseen circumstance. It was 2nd down and 2. They turned it into 4th and 4. Meanwhile, Cham was the first player to throw for 300 against Oklahoma since Jackson Dart of Ole Miss did it last season, October 26th. He also threw for 311. Chambers is 315 today on a career high 24 completions and 44 attempts. And now Oscar Bird has to make sure he gets the punt off. And the dangerous Satania back deep for it. Would you even kick it to him or kick it out of bounds? They're angling it toward the sideline. And a fair catch made at the 17. So no timeouts, 1:03 to go. And they have to go 83 yards and get a 2-point conversion.
As an offense, you work this play, this situation all throughout fall camp, all throughout the season on your last practice. It's usually the last thing you do. The biggest thing on a 2-minute drive is to get the drive started. You have to get positive yards on that first play. Quick completion, get it to a guy, allow him to run with it, and always be mindful, knowing there's no timeouts, for that sideline. Absolutely cannot take a sack at any point in this drive.
Four-man rush. Mateer down the sideline. Some space for Gibson. And the ball was over his head. This is not the time, if you're the Ole Miss Rebels, to have a bust in the secondary.
Yeah, and that time, I mean, Gibson was wide open, and Mateer just missed him. I mean, that was a big missed opportunity for the Sooners.
59 seconds to go. Mateer pressured from behind, got it off to Xavier Robinson down the sideline, got all that he could, and then got knocked across the boundary at the 38. 21-yard gain, career day for Robinson. He's rushed for 109. That's his career high. It's the most by an Oklahoma running back this year.
Reminder, 2 freshman tackles. We're going to get Zuman Miel and Centarian Perkins on the edge.
Short throw and catch. Kanik taken down by Gushikin. The clock runs after an 8-yard completion. They need 54 more yards in 35 seconds. All day to throw for Mateer. Couldn't find anybody open. And throws it away to stop the clock with 27 seconds. Will Eccles had pressure. He's had a nice day.
Now an opportunity for Ben Arbuckle to communicate with his quarterback. Hey, it's 3rd and 2. You got to extend this drive. Get the first down. Get up there and execute some type of clock operation or get a play called as quickly as humanly possible. But downs over big plays here. Got to convert.
Satania in motion. You would think they would tilt coverage toward him. Matier scrambling away from Uman Mielen. The ball is free. No whistle yet. The pressure came from Perkins. The Rebels make another huge play on defense and have the football.
Recovered by Ole Miss. First down.
And they'll take a look at it because it looked like as Matier was rolling to his left, he was trying to initiate a throw. Is the hand moving forward before the ball comes loose? Let's take a peek here. Ooh, it's very, very close. Hand is moving ever so slightly forward, but do they feel as though there's enough replay evidence to overturn the call on the field?
The previous play is under further review.
And as they review it, let's bring in Matt Austin again. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, Sean, I definitely think that he has control of the ball and starts his hand forward before it hits the defender's arm and is knocked out. So I think this should be a forward pass. They'll come back and Oklahoma's going to get another play.
And you see right here, as it starts to initiate forward, he's still grasping the football. So naturally, I was probably going to lean towards the quarterback there. It does look like he's trying to throw it, and that'll be a batted pass as opposed to a sack fumble.
Well, the play made by Perkins. We mentioned earlier, 4 sacks in this game last year, 10.5 for the season. Hasn't had a sack this year. Talking to the Ole Miss people, they said it's a different circumstance. He was almost completely a pass rusher last year. Other guys got a lot of attention. They've used him dropping a bit this year. They feel like he's had a good year, even though he doesn't have the sack numbers. But he and that defensive front have come to life today. Impact plays. Well, they call them havoc plays.
Right.
It was the Oklahoma defense who came into today with the most havoc plays in the country. But it's been Lane's defense wreaking havoc today.
I think it just goes back to the youth that Oklahoma has at both tackle spots. And Uman Mielen is a handful off one side, and with Perkins' speed on the other, that's a lot for any offense to account for in obvious passing situations.
Matier and the Sooners hoping for one last chance.
It was an incomplete pass. The ball will be at the 46-yard line. It'll be 4th down. Gamecock operator, please reset the game clock to 21 seconds, please.
Well done by the replay booth. Been a well officiated game.
Cannot emphasize this enough. Last time on 4th down, Matier went for the big play. You have to get the first down before you can worry about the points. To extend this drive, you need 2 yards. Get those first.
4th and 2. They do get the first down. Satania to the 45-yard line of Ole Miss. The clock stops for a moment. They spike it to kill it. 12 seconds to go after a 9-yard completion on 4th and 2. Now do you have to start firing toward the end zone?
Yes. Now, especially on the right hash, in a perfect world, right-handed quarterback, you'd be on the left hash, give you a little more room to work to your throwing hand. So they'll probably go 3 by 1, 3 to the left. You can move the quarterback a little bit to his left, get a 15, 20-yard play, and see if you can get maybe 1 or 2 shots at the end zone.
We're at the 45. And Lane Kiffin's going to use his last timeout. Then how do you align defensively? Do you drop players way back, or do you still have to play a more conventional defensive alignment?
No, I would drop way back. I would have 3, maybe 4 safeties deep. I'd probably have heels at the 20-yard line. Right now, they're sitting at about the 45. Therefore, they're 25 yards deep or so. They cannot, under any circumstances, let anything go over their head. So I would try to flush as much to the field or back into the field, as opposed to the boundary as I could. I'd play outside leverage, forcing them back inside, and I would have heels at the 20, so I know for sure they won't get behind me.
They were fractions from making a game-ending play. But Mateer's arm just barely coming forward. An incomplete pass instead of the fumble that would have ended it.
Keep an eye on Uman Mielen on the left-hand side. They'll have the running back over there to help with protection.
Uman Mielen's at 6 tackles, 2 for a loss. Mateer near the line of scrimmage, throws incomplete behind Gibson. Several players slipping on this field that is chewed up after rain all day yesterday, most of the morning prior to kickoff and early into this game. That took up half of their remaining time, so it's possible this could be the last play for Brent Venables.
And they put on Ivan Carrion, who's at 6'6". He's down right here in the slot, trying to throw a jump ball to their tall wide receiver.
It's not otherwise a tall receiving group. Mateer steps into the throw. That's not going to reach the end zone, and it's batted down by Wyatt Williams on the last play of the game. Gushigan and his former teammate Mateer congratulate each other. Ole Miss has its first win on the road against a ranked conference opponent under Lane Kiffin. And a huge win with an eye toward the Southeastern Conference race. With this win, the All-State Playoff Predictor has them with a 44% chance to finish 10-2. And right now they have the 7th best odds in the country of making the college football playoff, 4th best in the SEC. A lot of football to go. Here's Molly.
Coach Kiffin.
Quieter now than before.
Oh, are you talking a little bit to Oklahoma's players?
This guy yelled at me like during the game like 5 times how great they were, and we can't score on them.
But your quarterback Trinidad Chambliss did. What kind of statement did he make with how he played against this defense that was much hyped headed into this game?
This is a great defense. There's one of the best players in the country right there. So just really pleased how our guys finished off. We talked about it at halftime. You know, we had Georgia down 2 scores and we let that one slip away, and so we didn't want to do it again. And so got a little hectic there, but I'm actually glad we won it on defense after all the poor play last week and dealing with that all week. So I'm glad we didn't make a first down. So it's good our defense won it.